Northern Mesopotamia. Summer heat. The air is still. Outside Darra, men cut a long ditch into hard earth, racing the daylight. Belisarius watches in silence because he cannot win the battle Persia wants. So he prepares the battle he can control. Please stay with me. We will go slowly, step by step, so the field stays clear in your mind. This battle moves in 3 days. A probe, a pause, and then impact. Remember one simple spine: ditch, crossings, flank, restraint. And the most dangerous moment will come when victory looks close and pursuit feels easy. To understand Dara, keep just 3 ideas in mind. First, the border lacked a strong base, so Dara was built to fix that weakness. Second, Persia's great strength was armored cavalry, so Byzantium needed intelligent defense. Third, war returned because long tension and failed diplomacy finally broke the peace. Why Dara exists. Years earlier, after the last Western imperial remnants vanished, the Eastern Roman Empire endured with fewer resources than Old Rome. Its main rival remained the Sasanian Empire to the east. After the Anastasian War, peace lasted nearly 20 years, but distrust persisted and preparations never truly stopped. This is where the border itself became a weapon. On the Mesopotamian plain, Byzantine armies often had to march long distances from Western strongholds just to reach the frontier. Persia did not. Persia used Nisibis, once Roman, ceded nearly 2 centuries earlier, to strike deep and then retreat behind walls to resupply. So Emperor Anastasius ordered a new fortress city, Darra. Walls, towers, a citadel, storehouses, barracks, cisterns, and a canal diverting a local river, built to hold an army, not just people. Where we are now, Darra is the hinge, and Persia wants to break it. Why Byzantium can still fight. Anastasius strengthened more than stone. He strengthened the state. He improved the monetary system and issued new coinage, especially copper, ending long inflation and easing daily life for those who used copper in ordinary trade. He reformed taxation, closed loopholes exploited by the wealthy, shifted collection away from powerful local senators, lowered burdens on urban classes, and curbed waste and corruption. By 518, the treasury was stabilized and enlarged, leaving a surplus. Justin Thome continued this consolidation. He kept the fiscal policies, maintained armies in the east, and quietly cultivated client states as buffers and staging points. In Arabia, he supported Aksumite's success against the Himyarites and gained access to valuable trade routes for frankincense and myrrh. To the north, he interfered in Christian Iberia and expanded influence in Lazica by honoring its king, arranging a marriage into Byzantine nobility, demanding conversion to Christianity, and stationing garrisons there. But Justin also kept paying subsidies to Persia, because peace, even expensive peace, was still cheaper than war. Why peace breaks. Across the border stood Kavad I, King of Kings. He insisted the East threatened Persia first, the Hephthalites, sometimes called the White Huns. He warned that if Persia failed, the danger would eventually reach Byzantine lands too. Using memories of earlier Hunnic invasions, he kept pressure on Constantinople to pay. Kavad also pursued reforms that strengthened Persia and curbed the power of nobility and clergy. Yet his personal priority became succession. He favored his young son, Khosrow, and feared older brothers backed by powerful factions. So he approached Justin and asked him to adopt Khosrow formally. Justin hesitated. He was childless, but he understood the risk. An adopted Sasanian prince could claim the throne in Constantinople. He offered adoption under a barbarian custom. Kavad was deeply offended. Negotiations collapsed, and proxy wars ignited. Proxy wars spread: south, desert, and Caucasus. In the south, Byzantine support for Axumite action intensified, seeking influence and access to trade. In northern Arabia, Persian-backed Lakhmids raided Byzantine territories at the desert edge. In Iberia, Cavad crushed insurrection and imposed conversion pressures, driving the Iberian king to flee toward Lazica. Justin supported the exiles and recruited Huns from north of the Caucasus to assist, while Sasanian attempts to regain Lazica were beaten back by Byzantine garrisons. By the time Justin was old, power passed to his nephew Justinian I. Open conflict now spread across the Transcaucasus and northern Mesopotamia, with Persia holding the initiative. Where we are now, diplomacy is finished, and the border is burning. The bad year, 527-529, and Belisarius falls back in 527. The revolt in Iberia was crushed. A Byzantine offensive on Nisibis and Thabetha failed. Persian attacks prevented Byzantium from fortifying Thanuris and Melabasa, key points along the frontier. A year later, Persian forces pressed into Lazica again and captured several fortresses in its east. Justinian divided command, Sitas to Armenia in the north and Belisarius to the southern front to protect construction at Thanuris. Belisarius was defeated by Xerxes, one of Cavad's sons, and retreated to Dara. Persia paid for that victory. About 500 Immortals fell in the fighting. Cavad punished Xerxes, stripped him of command, and imprisoned him. In 529, Lakhmid raids devastated parts of Syria, so Justinian strengthened his Arab allies, helping the Ghassanids become a coherent kingdom to pressure the Lakhmids. Then, Cavad sent the main southern army toward Darra, seeking a killing blow in Syria. A day after leaving Nisibis, the Persian army reached Dara. Firuz looked at the Byzantine position and believed his force was superior. But he also saw Belisarius standing in a narrow gap, not open plain. To win, Firuz would need to push the Byzantines back into the city for siege, or draw them out into open ground. Belisarius refused to be pinned behind walls. He chose a pitched battle in front of Dara, but only on ground he could shape. His problem was severe. He had fewer men, and many were weaker. So he decided to break Persia's greatest weapon, cavalry momentum, before it became unstoppable. Firuz began with about 40,000 men. About 15,000 were levied infantry of poor training, about 5,000 were heavy infantry mercenaries, and 20,000 were armored cavalry, cataphracts in lamella armor who could shoot and charge. Belisarius had about 25,000. About 15,000 were cavalry on the wings, experienced but often outclassed by Persian cataphracts. His best mounted troops were limited, about 1,200 Huns near the center, and about 1,500 Bucellari, his personal elite retainers, held in reserve. His infantry numbered about 10,000, and was generally poor, frontier garrisons, provincial troops, survivors, and hastily recruited men, some given basic archery training only days before. Morale was low after defeats, and Belisarius knew a full cavalry storm could break them, so he did not ask weak men to perform an impossible task. He changed the task itself. Belisarius dug a long line of ditches across the front. Too wide for cavalry to jump, it was meant to slow the charge and break its force. He left narrow crossings to funnel attackers into choke points. The infantry stood further back, supported by missiles from the city walls. Keep the spine in mind. Ditch, crossings, flank, restraint. Now it was Persia who had to move first. Day 1. Most of the first day passed in tense stillness. Late in the afternoon, elements of the Persian right advanced at a steady pace, perhaps probing. After a short clash, Byzantine cavalry fell back and the Persians pursued. Then archers were signalled, the Byzantines turned, and the Persians withdrew, trying to lure pursuit in return. Belisarius refused. He kept his men from going beyond the trenches. This is not cowardice, it is discipline, and discipline will soon decide the day. A Persian champion rode out and demanded single combat. A young Byzantine, Andreas, trained among Belisarius's guards, accepted and won quickly. A second challenger stepped forward. Andreas accepted again and won again. The duels did not win the war, but they steadied morale when morale was fragile. Day 2. By next morning, Firuz received reinforcements from Nisibis. Much of the second day passed in negotiations, and it is unclear how sincere either side was. It is possible Firuz was simply buying time for more men to arrive. When it became clear words would change nothing, Firuz ended talks with a taunt. He told Belisarius to prepare a bath in Darra for his coming victory. Where we are now, the pause is over. The impact is next. Day 3. On the third day, Firuz received 10,000 more men, including several thousand Immortals. His force rose to about 50,000, roughly a 2-to-1 advantage. He planned to overwhelm the flanks with cavalry and then double envelop the center. Suspecting Belisarius would strengthen his left, Firuz sent the Immortals to strike the Byzantine right. Archers moved forward to keep enemy missiles occupied. Infantry edged up behind them. The battle began with heavy projectiles. Persia fired in greater volume, but a strong wind blew against them and reduced their advantage. Firuz ordered his cavalry to advance steadily, not at full gallop, because trenches would break momentum. Then the armored wall reached the ditch line. On the Byzantine left, fighting at the crossings became frantic. The Byzantines were pressed too heavily and slowly pushed back. Meanwhile, on the right, the Persian assault broke through several sections of trench, and the Immortals ground forward step by step. Belisarius could see the danger. If the right collapsed, the center would follow. So he sent the Huns from the center right to strike the Persian inner flank, not to win in one blow, to buy time. And on the left, he prepared the trap. Belisarius signaled a contingent of several hundred cavalry hidden near the trees on the hillside. They charged into the Persian flank, while the Huns from the center left struck from the other side. Persian units on that wing began to lose cohesion, communications failed, and officers struggled to control men. Panic spread, and the Persian right fled in disorder, leaving about 3,000 dead on the field. Some Byzantines wanted to pursue. Belisarius kept the pursuit brief and held the army close to the trenches, because the Persian force was still large and reckless. Chasing could turn victory into disaster. Then he turned to the greater danger on the right and galloped toward the Persian inner flank with his elite Bucellari reserves. The charge struck hard, stalled the assault, and in the bitter struggle, the Persian second-in-command and his standard bearer were struck down, shocking the attackers and breaking their will. Many Persians could not escape and were killed where they stood. Others fought their way back toward the main line. Again, Belisarius restrained pursuit, because the hour after victory can be deadlier than the fight itself. Belisarius won a rare pitched battle victory for Byzantium at Dara. Byzantine casualties were not recorded, but likely numbered thousands, perhaps not much less than about 5,000 dead or wounded. Persian losses were heavier, possibly up to 10,000. He prevailed by denying cavalry momentum with ditches, forcing attacks through choke points, striking flanks at the right moment, and enforcing restraint. Dara endures because it teaches a quiet lesson. Restraint can be stronger than strength. Belisarius did not win by chasing glory. He won by controlling temptation and controlling ground. Yet the war continued. After Dara and Satala came further offensives, Belisarius's defeat at Callinicum and the siege of Martyropolis. Justinian offered terms, and Kavad refused. Only in 532, after Kavad died and Khosrow the Firm needed to secure his throne, did negotiations reopen, returning occupied territories and costing Justinian £11,000 of gold, while Belisarius went on to lead Justinian's larger campaigns. If this story helped you see the past more clearly, Share one thought in the comments. Was Dara won by the ditch or by discipline? And next, we follow Belisarius again, to the moment when even a careful commander is forced into a battle he did not choose.